And so it's a real pleasure to have Gregg with us today. As a little bit of background, Gregg started a company called The Wedding List back in the 1990s, which she sold to Martha Stewart back in 2001. And then fast forward to 2013, where she launched Beautycounter to basically create safer products in the beauty and wellness space. And she established a list of 1,800 potentially harmful ingredients that are inside of the cosmetics and beauty products that Americans use every single day. She's been named one of Fast Company's most creative people in 2019. She was named Inc. Magazine's Female Founders 100 list. She's been included on Goldman Sachs' Most Intriguing Entrepreneurs list. And one of the most exciting things as she continues to grow Beautycounter is she's not only building a fantastic business, but she's also making a difference in the world by raising the issue as it relates to the ingredients that go into cosmetics and the impact that those ingredients are having on the health and well-being of men and women across the country and around the world. So Gregg, let me start with this. First of all, thank you for joining us. The second thing is, the beauty industry is a $90 billion a year sales business. Why'd you decide that going after beauty was the next thing you were going to take your incredible entrepreneurial talents towards?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Willie. It's an honor to be here today, as I said to you on the phone on Friday. We do have a very long-standing friendship, and I wanted to say congrats to you and to your entire team for what has been just an unbelievable run at Walker Dunlop. I mean, it's amazing to see how much you all have grown and where you've taken your business. So, so thank you. And honestly, back at you for the accolades on being a great entrepreneur. I started Beautycounter, it all started for me quite some time ago. In fact, I'm in New York right now and sitting in a hotel, and went to dinner last night with my friend Leela, who encouraged me to go see the film An Inconvenient Truth back in 2006, which I did at her urging, and was with her last night talking about this. And subsequent to that, over the next couple of years, I watched so many people that I love be diagnosed with different types of illnesses, whether they were, people in their 20s and 30s being diagnosed with different types of cancer, whether it was friends of mine struggling with fertility issues or giving birth to kids with significant health issues. I'm sure every single person on this call has been touched directly or indirectly by these issues. And I started to wonder, having watched An Inconvenient Truth, what was going wrong in terms of the environment, what was going wrong in terms of human health. And the one thing that I could point to over several years and a lot of research was our exposure to toxic chemicals. And so started making a lot of changes in my life, got rid of my plastic and switched to glass. You've heard me, Willie knows this because every time I go to his house, I'm like, shit, why is that, household cleaner in your house still? I can't stand seeing some of these products. I became very obsessive about what was I washing my home with? What was I getting rid of, plastic and switching to glass, getting rid of my nonstick pans. And I was able to make all those changes in my life. But when it came to skincare and personal care products, I couldn't find any products that met my needs. And so I started Beautycounter really with the goal of getting safer products into the hands of everyone. And as there are probably quite a few men on this call, I want to be clear that this isn't just about lipstick. This is about your sunscreen, your deodorant, your shaving cream, the body wash you wash your kids with every single day. It's all of those products. And knowing that there were chemicals of concern linked to these health issues, I wanted to get them out of the products. And so that's really why I started the company.
So the beauty industry is one of the least regulated industries there is. It's huge, but you also found that it was extremely unregulated. What was the challenge as well as the opportunity there, given the lack of regulation in the beauty industry?
It's interesting. In the United States, we haven't updated a major federal law regulating this industry since 1938. The law that does exist is part of the Federal Food, Drugs, and Cosmetics Act and dates back to FDR, and it's 1.5 pages of legislation that govern this industry. And unlike the food industry, as an example, where the FDA actually is, sort of looking for, safety as products before products are put on the shelf, and then has the ability to recall products when they are known to cause harm to health, the beauty industry is completely the wild, wild west. If you look to the EU, for example, well over a decade ago, they banned or restricted 1,400 ingredients from all personal care products. The United States, when I started, had banned 11. We're now up to a whopping 30. And the FDA has neither the ability to screen ingredients for safety prior to products being put on the shelves, nor do they have the ability to recall products if they are known to be causing harm to health. And so it's really a self-regulated marketplace controlled by the large conglomerates today.
So we both know that, you know, it's both laudatory and amazing that you focused on this issue to create Beautycounter, but had you not created products that sold, you wouldn't have the platform that you have today to bring light to this issue. So as you're starting out, you're building products and you got to go head to head with, you know, P&G shampoo. You got to go head to head with Menem Speed Stick. You got to go head to head with Coppertone skin, you know, sunscreen, if you can actually call Coppertone. You give me a hard time about Coppertone. That's not really sunscreen. But anyway, so for a moment, you know, you're starting to build products. How did you build products that were commercially viable? What was the hitch that made it so people started to buy Beautycounter beyond the fact that the products were just better for you?
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, we've built Beautycounter on three really important pillars from day one. We always say that we educate, formulate, and advocate. And we've started with education because we felt most Americans had no idea that there were questionable ingredients in the products that they put on their bodies every day. And that's true of all of us, right? All of us are unknowingly putting ourselves in harm's way every day. And so we always started with education. But the reason we created products was I wanted to provide an immediate solution to the problem. I wanted to be able to arm with information and then provide a choice for people. I also felt really strongly that consumer brands could move a market faster than nonprofit organizations can. And so, you know, it was really important to me to educate the consumer, to create a product that performed as well or better than the traditional brands, that was also packaged in a way that felt, you know, sort of aesthetically pleasing, on trend, you know, high performance, et cetera, which was not the case. When I started Beautycounter, you had all the traditional brands from, let's just, you know, say Revlon to Chanel and everything in between. They were, you know, on trend, high performing, well-known brands. We all loved them, but they were filled with chemicals concern. On the other end, you had these very niche, earthy, eco brands that neither performed particularly well, nor were packaged in a way that was viable for the average consumer. And so we really wanted to make sure that people would reach for our products and use them because they loved the attributes of the product. And by the way, they're also significantly safer for your health. They have to perform or someone won't purchase it a second time. And so it was combining the education and the formulation to create a really great product that really got us off the ground and has, you know, helped us put many millions of products across homes in North America over the last 7 years.
So talk for a moment about your direct-to-consumer distribution network. As you were building the company, you obviously were faced with, I can make a great product, but how am I going to get it out to people? And you had the alternatives of trying to sell it through Walgreens, trying to get one of the big manufacturers like P&G to partner with you on these products, or go DTC and build up a direct-to-consumer channel. How'd you go about doing it? And now I believe you have about 65,000 partners in selling Beautycounter products across the country. So talk through how you're distributing your products.
So we are a direct-to-consumer brand. I always say we're a direct-to-consumer brand powered by people. We make our products available to our clients through our community of independent consultants. We have about 65,000 women and men across North America who have built businesses on our platform. And we also make our products available to our clients on our e-commerce platform, beautycounter.com, through our stores in New York and Los Angeles, through strategic partnerships like we've enjoyed recently with Sephora. We have an ongoing one with Goop. But we really wanted to meet the consumer where he or she wanted to shop with us. And we've always believed in a multi-channeled approach. That said, when I started the company, I saw on a macro level that the entire consumer market was moving direct to consumer. I knew that the department store distribution of products was waning, if not yet over. And certainly now, post-COVID, it's definitely over. I knew that consumers wanted to interact with those that they, you know, that influenced them, whether it was a personal friend or whether it was an influencer. And so we really believed in the power of storytelling through people, the power of leveraging the social channels that people interact with every single day. But we also felt that we wanted a multi-channel approach. So it's been interesting because we've been focused on this, since the beginning. And now, especially in the last 8 months, we've just seen the entire industry migrate to direct to consumer and online. And thankfully for us, we were really, really well positioned to take advantage of this.
You just talked about one of the advantages of not having bricks and mortar, if you will. Talk about some of the challenges of having basically consultants across the country who are independent contractors, if you will, to Beautycounter, and how managing that sales force is both fantastic because it can scale exponentially, but how you've created such a great sense of culture. Because I've been in Washington when you brought in and done your national sales meeting, and I've seen the Beautycounter buses driving down Pennsylvania Avenue with literally hundreds of your partners, and there's this, this incredible spirit about being somebody who's connected to Beautycounter and what you guys are trying to achieve. How have you kept that network together and built the brand without actually having all these people as employees of Beautycounter?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I think first of all, when I look at people in general, all of us, every single person on this call, we all want to be part of meaningful change. We all want to be part of something that is bigger than we are as individuals. We want to be part of a collective voice that is doing really good work in this world. And when I look at the women and men who have joined and partnered with us, they are people who want to be part of that change. They join us primarily for the mission. They may enjoy the income opportunity, and they may, there may be a myriad of reasons that they have come into the business, but they really aim to use their collective voice to do great work in this world. And so as we've built out the brand, we've treated each other with respect. We've had a true partnership. I mean, you all have offices all over the place and many, many employees in this company. And you know that if you are very clear in terms of your vision and the job and the tasks at hand, you can really unify, even though there are a lot of people working towards a common goal. And I think one of the things that I have found is that you can look at it and say one brand, a million voices. I like to think of it as a million voices, one brand. And if we use our collective voice appropriately and we stay consistent in the way in which we approach our business and build our businesses and our brand, and we will have, be able to affect meaningful change, which we have been certainly on the state level in terms of the changing of, outdated laws, and also in the consumer market. I think we can say confidently, Willie, you don't lack confidence, and nor do I. And I think one of the things I can say boldly is we have definitively and forever changed the beauty industry by leading to a better place and requiring, brands to consider what ingredients they're putting into their products and forcing that change within our industry. So I think it's been really exciting to build a brand that's also had such significant social impact.
So you're a B Corp. What does being a B Corp mean, and why is it so important to Beautycounter?
I believe that the future of commerce is imperative that we consider triple bottom line, that we are not only looking at profit. Profit is obviously extremely important. We all know that. We know that how the capital markets work today. You guys are a publicly traded company, so you understand this better than I do. That's important. That said, if we do not take care of the earth and if we do not take care of people along the way, we're going to be in an even darker place than we find ourselves in today. And so B corporations are companies that at every step of the way put into emphasis people, planet, profit. I can't just go sell to the highest bidder if they're going to treat my associates poorly and they're going to decimate the earth. We are constantly looking. So if you think about B Corps are companies like Patagonia, Seventh Generation, Ben & Jerry's, Eileen Fisher, companies that really believe that you can do well and do good simultaneously. And the consumer markets are rewarding these companies because, I don't know about you all, but because you're not selling like a physical product, increasingly our clients are demanding of us, that we focus on our carbon footprint, that we use more sustainable packaging, that we make sure we're paying fair wages around the world, that we have supply chain transparency. And so I think it is, as I said earlier, imperative that all companies start to look at the business this way, and that ultimately that the markets reward companies that are able to grow exponentially and do well while simultaneously doing good for the world. So I'm very proud to be a B corporation. We are a mission-based, purpose-driven company. We have been. That's the only, look, I'm not even a beauty person. I mean, you know this about me, Willie. Like I grew up never even really wearing makeup. I honestly don't give a shit about makeup so much. It was about, I want to be healthy and I want everyone that I love to be healthy. And yes, now that I'm 150 years old, I wear more makeup, try to like pull myself together for Zoom calls. But the reality is I don't want you to be sick. I want to live a long, healthy life. I believe our health is our greatest asset. And so we fight that battle every single day while building a really successful company.
How have your investors, I know TPG is one of your lead investors, how have your investors been at that balance between corporate profits and being a B Corp and the things that you really want to stand for?
You know, having started the wedding list and having sold it successfully but unsuccessfully in some ways early on, because of the investors that I had chosen, the venture capital firm that had backed me at the time, which it's a company called Fremont that's not even around anymore. I felt it was really important for me that I partnered with the right financial sponsors right out of the gate. So I chose in the beginning to partner with individuals who were the representatives of owners, representatives, founders of some of the largest private equity firms. And then ultimately we brought in TPG and Moose Capital, which is the family office of the family behind Chanel, the Heilbronn family. And throughout this process, I was really specific and unapologetic about what I wanted to do. And if I didn't feel that my investors like TPG were aligned with my goals and my mission, then I just chose not to engage with those institutions. And I think one of the things that I've learned, and as I speak to entrepreneurs all the time, you know, it's sort of like you're interviewing for a job. You might really want the job and you're interviewing it, but you should also be interviewing the employer just as much as they're interviewing you. And I think I did that with when I went out to raise capital. I think there was so much capital out there right now. There aren't enough good ideas. And so I really focused on who was going to let me build the business in the way in which I wanted to. And I have to say, TPG has been an amazing partner. They've been with me for 6 years, and they've, you know, I said, look, I want to take this all the way to Washington. And if you're not comfortable with that because you think that that might lessen our chances of success in the long term, then I'm probably not your right investment. And they've all been terrific. That's not to say they're not a pain in the ass half the time, because they all are. but in general, I say this to them with love and tenderness because they're great. But they've been great partners. All of them have been since the beginning.
So you've walked into boardrooms at TPG with a bunch of males sitting around. You're typically the only female in the room, to the many, many females at Walker Dunlop who find themselves in similar type situations. How have you dealt with those situations? What's the key to success and holding your own when you walk into one of those boardrooms and you're trying to raise capital for your company?
You know, that's such a good question. I think that, look, I think the world is changing, for which I'm thankful, and not just for women, but hopefully for all people. And I think we're all more keenly aware of the need to open our eyes and our minds to all different types of people and points of view. As a woman, I've tried in earnest to dig deep and find confidence in the moments in which I don't feel as strong or as confident. I think one thing that I've learned, having worked now with many, many, many tens of thousands of women over the last 8 years, is that if there was one thing I could point to, it is they look oftentimes for external validation to drive, instead of finding the confidence within themselves, knowing that they actually can do the job that is sitting right in front of them, that they have everything that they need to be successful. And so I think when I go into boardrooms, when I'm outnumbered time and time again, I remind myself that being a woman is an asset, not a liability. That there have been a lot of men, you being one of them, that have been instrumental to my growth as personally and professionally. There are so many men I rely on in life. So I'm a very pro woman, but not anti-men. And I try to use the inherent strengths of being a woman to my advantage in those conversations. I think that we in general have a higher level of emotional intelligence. And I think that balance between women and men in any boardroom and any meeting is incredibly important. And so rather than allowing myself to get insecure about being the only woman, I try to my personality. I try to flip it to sort of kind of give them shit back and kind of make fun of them and do it with confidence and with a little bit of humor, because I think that at the end of the day, we're all better when we're together. And I think that, and I wish more women realize that they really have, I wish more women and men realize that they have it already inside of them to answer that question or to lead that team or to solve the problem. And I just wish I wish I saw more people exercising that confidence. It doesn't happen enough. And I would say to the men in the room, just to please remember not to mansplain, that we actually get it the first time. You don't need to say in other words. I always say when my private equity guys say to me all the time, in other words, I'm like, no, please don't waste any more time. I got it the first time you said it. You don't need to explain it to me. I'm pretty smart. So I think it's going to require all of us to think about that as we move forward as teams.
So final piece is work-life balance. Starting up a company is in and of itself a huge time sink, and you're going 24/7. And I've watched you take Beautycounter from being a teeny, well, literally a business concept to being a very, very significant company. So that has its challenges. On top of it, you're trying to transform an industry, and that's requiring you to set standards. It's requiring you to do lobbying on Capitol Hill and really raise awareness around these issues, which is a whole other layer to it. And the final is raising 3 relatively young kids who are now quickly becoming teenagers. How have you done it? And, in all honesty, how have you managed all those conflicting demands on your time?
I have said often, and I do believe this to be true, that you can, I'm going to speak as a woman because I think it's different for all of us. But I think as a woman, I do genuinely believe that women can have it all, but not necessarily in the same day, month, or year. And so I've been ruthless in my prioritization over the last number of years. I focus really on 2 things. Well, I would say 3, which would include my husband, but my husband would say, I only focus on 2. I would say I focus on my 3 children and I focus on Beautycounter. And obviously my family life is critically important to me. And what I've found to be really, really important is being okay with saying no more times than saying yes. I will say to people when I meet them now, especially when it has to do with my children's school, and they'll say, oh, let's go for a hike someday after drop off. And I'll say, now I would say, Willie, it was so nice to meet you. Realistically, I probably won't be doing that hike with you for the next year because I'm so crazy with my job and I really want to focus on my family. But when I come up for air, I promise I'll give you a call. I've gotten comfortable having those types of conversations. I've gotten comfortable really focusing on my marriage as a partnership. I think that all of us, women and men, both of us need to think of each other as partners and carry the burden and the weight of whatever it is, household chores to child rearing to income earning. All of it should be on both partners, whether it's a woman and man or same-sex marriage. Like, I think you're in partnership, and I think that that's really important. I'm very discouraged, honestly, to see so many women leaving the workforce right now because of COVID, because everyone's relying on them to be the educators and the homemakers. And I know that a lot of the women on this call would say that they feel overwhelmed, but I'm here to say you can do it. A small amount of your undivided attention and everything in your life every single day will get you a lot farther than being overwhelmed and half focused on everything. And it's okay to say no a lot of the time, but we need to continue as women to lead, and we need to continue to rely on each other as partners to make sure that families are successful. It's really, really important now more than ever. And for those of you who are boyfriends or partners or spouses to women, I would just remind yourselves, like, we don't want women to go backwards right now. We want women to go forwards. We need each other to do that. And so please think about, how you can help. I always say to my kids, I'm like, figure it out. Like, I'm good at delegating, even whether it's, washing the dishes or, helping me go on a flight that I need to get on, because that's important for my business. So that's a long-winded answer. It's a big question, Willie. There's so much to it. But I do think that we got to keep going. And I'm so excited when I see women taking that leap and staying in the game, while they're having children, because I think you can be a great mom, a great spouse, and a great business person all at the same time.
Well, you certainly are all 3 of those things. And so I'm deeply appreciative of you taking this time out of your day. And I know you're in between 2 important meetings in New York to jump on and share your thoughts and your incredible story at Beautycounter with us. And so thank you so much. It's great to see you. Good luck with your 3 o'clock meeting, and lots of love, and thanks for coming to join us. And to everybody on the call, I would just say, for the 930 people I'm seeing right here, I know your thoughts and ideas as it relates to that work-life balance and women really resonate with tons and tons of people on this call. So thank you, Gregg, for taking the time.
Well, thank you all for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Willie, I'm a huge fan of yours and everything you guys have done. And it was an honor to be here. I'm going to ask you guys to do one thing before I hang up, which is, everyone has a phone. If you all could do one thing for me today to participate in this movement of better beauty, if you were to take out your phone and do text 52886, hashtag better beauty. Send your local member of Congress a note just telling them all this. All you have to do, just that one text, just to say 52886, better beauty. Just let them know we care about cosmetic reform. We want safer products for all of us. So thank you. Lots of love.
Thanks, Gregg. Have a great day. Take care.